All right, awesome. Thank you guys for hopping on tonight, especially at 9 o'clock Eastern time. Normally Sam's calls are at 8:30, but my son had football until 8:30, so it definitely helped that you guys were lenient and could hop on at 9 o'clock. But I'm going to go through some updates, and then I'm going to hand it over to our guest speaker. So a few updates. A reminder, we have our health bet. That starts September 5th, this coming Monday. If you don't know what it is by now, you definitely should know what it is. Utilize that. Get it going. If you do not have one going and you want to be in one, let Sam or myself know, or another coach. It has to be ran through the Challenge Tracker app, so make sure you're in one of those. And even if you only have maybe like 3 people, because I know some people mention they only have maybe 3 challengers in theirs, I still strongly suggest running one. That way you get in the habit of running a group on the Tracker app if you're not already running them. And to me, it's better to have, 3 strong challengers. That way you can all motivate each other rather than having 30. It's still good. And then our September deals are pretty much everything that we've already had this past month. The 140 challenge packs are Country Heat, 21-day Fix Extreme, 22-minute Hardcore, Size, 3-day Refresh, Club Package, and PIO. And then for our $180 ones, we have the kickstarts of Country Heat, 21-day Fix Extreme, Size, Club, and PIO. And the Kickstart, if you don't know what that is, it's the same thing as a regular package, except for it also comes with the 3-day Refresh as well. And then the last update is September prize. If you help at least 3 or more people with the challenge pack in September, you will get a yoga mat, which is pretty cool. And I'm going to go ahead and introduce our guest speaker, Meredith Gnau. When Sam sent me some of her highlights, I literally was blown away. There's so many awesome ones. I'm just going to go through maybe like 10 of them and then let her share her story. She is a 6-star diamond, 1-star diamond in her second business center. She joined in 2013, and it took her about 3 months to hit diamond. She's a 2015 and 16 elite coach. She ended number 14 in the entire company in 2015, which is huge. Awesome. Number 14. She was a 6-figure earner within 2 years of her business, guys. I think that is amazing. 6-figure earner within 2 years. She's an SC10 All-Star Legend, which means she has hit Success Club at least 24 months or more in a row. And she's a holistic health practitioner. So I'm going to go ahead, let her unmute herself, let her share a story, and she's going to talk to us about building momentum in our business and really branding ourselves.
Hey, thanks so much for that really kind introduction. So let's just remember, that's all this, these diamonds, and I've got diamonds here and I've got diamonds there, and it's all fancy talk. But the fact of the matter is, I'm coming up on my 3rd year, completing my 3rd year. So September is going to be my 3-year finished anniversary. I'll be moving into my 4th year as a coach. And I started in the same place as everybody starts, right? I didn't know here to there. I didn't know up from down. The back office to me to this day is just like pig Latin. Samantha talked on our call earlier in the week, and she was saying how she's a very list person, and she has a lot of organization around things. And so she does tend to attract people like that. But I know for me, I'm opposite of that. And I've got all walks of life on my team. So I really want to also start with the fact that if that's not you, if you're someone who is more creative and less organized, you should see my desk right now. It's a mess, but it doesn't mean that my business is a mess, right? It's organized in my head. So I just want to let everybody know that you have every opportunity to succeed and do whatever you want with it. But it's a mindset and it's a choice. We're going to dig into that in a little bit. But so that you know a little bit more about me and my background, I actually started Beachbody workouts years ago. I bought my first ones from an infomercial. I bought Turbo Jam. It was the first infomercial purchase I ever did. I bought Turbo Jam and I thought it was so crazy. I was up at 1 a.m. I'm like, I can't believe I'm buying something. And that I don't know if they still have them because I don't really see that much TV anymore. I watch Hulu or Netflix, but they used to have the little van and it would be like, you have, 5 minutes left to get the deal. And so, you're sitting there with your phone like, oh my gosh, should I do it? So that's actually how I got turned on to Beachbody. I did Turbo Jam, fell in love with it, bought all of Shalene's stuff, then went on to Yoga Booty Ballet, Slim in 6, P90X. I did not have a coach. I think I actually got assigned a coach, and she probably emailed me. This is back when they had message boards, but I didn't really do anything with it. I worked for a music company at the time, and I was starting to study holistic health. I was really into raw foods. I was trying to change my personal state. I had struggled with weight. I also struggled with a lot of digestive malaise over the years. I had a lot of chronic issues with digestion that came with me from my childhood all the way into my adulthood. So I was kind of trying to work on not just my physical being, but my internal being as well. And so I remember having these message boards and thinking, wow, that would be so cool to be a coach, but like, what did that really mean? And who could I really help? Because the music industry was the entertainment industry, and it was more like rock and roll, drugs and alcohol. It wasn't really health and wellness and green juice. So I kind of got into it then, but I never got into the real Beachbody part of it. I just was doing the workouts. I was actually burning the DVDs in the back of our studio, and I was sending them to my girlfriends. So I'm like, oh my gosh, you have to do Turbo Jam. And they're like, I'm not going to buy it. So I'd send it to them. So I was totally pirating, but I never felt like I was pirating. I was doing this thing out of the goodness of my heart because I just wanted all of my friends to get the same success I was getting. I was seeing incredible weight loss during that period. So it went down a ways that maybe a couple of years, I ended up meeting a guy. I moved to San Diego. I was really into Turbo Jam, and the last thing I wanted to do was start jamming in the living room of our brand new relationship. There's a lot of hip thrusting, and I just felt like, that's not exactly where I want this relationship to go right now. It was a little embarrassing for me. So everything, all my Beachbody workouts got dusty. I just put them away. I put them in a basket, and I started my yoga teacher training. And I started really digging into yoga. I was still doing spin and some other things. So from that point till just 3 years ago now, that was a period of like 7 years or so. I was focused primarily on yoga and nutrition and wellness. So I started to build a following. I had a warm market when I came back to Beachbody. I was already teaching yoga full-time, 16 to 18 classes a week. I had studied as a holistic health practitioner and was certified. And so I was running detoxes and wellness workshops and all these things already in sort of my neck of the woods through the yoga circuit, as well as had been working for a superfood company out here that had recently launched and was getting really well known. So I was kind of at a space where, I was 38 years old or going on 38, and I didn't really have, I'm living paycheck to paycheck. I have no savings. I'm paying for my insurance out of pocket. It's killing me because when you're 38, it just, it keeps going up. And I wanted some more stability in my life. So I had started to search on Instagram for like Fit Babe accounts for a couple reasons. One was for my own personal motivation because I needed to get up and off my duff, put the wine glass down, and start working out more, number one. Number two, I needed to find a program that worked for me. I had hit a plateau in my health and my wellness and my weight. I was leading a lot of these detox workshops, but part of me felt very hypocritical because women were asking me about weight loss and I was giving them these detoxes, but ultimately I was stuck. So I just didn't feel good about that. And then third, I wanted to be that person. I'd been doing this already. I was helping people. I was teaching yoga. I was busting my hiney 16 to 18 classes a week, freelancing on the side, working for a superfood company, blogging, writing newsletters for people. I was busy and I was hardly making ends meet. I couldn't travel because clearly if I took time off, that meant no money to pay for my rent. So I really wanted to have some sort of business adventure. I started buying programs, like I bought the Tone It Up program. I bought a program called Dammy. I just started buying ebooks from everybody. And I just wanted to download them, read through them, and find out what these programs were that women were doing and how they were building a business on it. So that's actually how I came across my coach. My coach is Amy Silverman. A lot of you may have heard of her because she is a top coach for the company. However, I came across her account and I didn't know up from down. I didn't know she was a Team Beachbody coach. I just saw a girl who was doing fitness, doing health, doing nutrition. There was something that I understood in her, meaning that we have a common thread. We both have the same sort of sense of style. We liked similar things. I remember at the time she was like gardening and I was doing all this organic gardening. So it's like we had stuff in common, right? And then I was following her story, and she's really good about breadcrumbing her story throughout her feed. So there were always calls to action for these things that she was doing. She was talking about being a fitness coach and having these accountability groups and having these meal plans. And the one that I fell upon said something like, something about a fitness challenge, a 60-day fitness challenge, and an opportunity to be sponsored as a coach, where you could do your fitness challenge for free and start helping other people and earning supplemental income. And I was like, oop, that sounds perfect for me, because I want to buy the program. I want to check it out. I'll write it off as a tax deduction if I have to, because I want to learn what this stuff is, and I want to get fit myself. So I had a lot of reasons to want to buy it. However, when she emailed me and the price tag hit me at some point in our discussion, or maybe it was Team Beachbody that hit me. I don't really remember, because that was so long ago now, but something hit me that made me pull back. And you'll often hear from your coaches say something like, an objection is not a rejection, or the fortune isn't a follow-up. And it cannot be any truer than true. I did not, once I found out she was a Team Beachbody coach, I didn't want to sign up. And not because I had any beef against Team Beachbody. I loved their programs. I just didn't think that was what I was looking for, because I didn't understand what coaching was. I didn't want the superfoods. When she told me, you get a challenge pack, it's $180. This is what comes in it. I'm like, I have every superfood under the sun, and I work for one of the best superfood companies out here in San Diego. I don't need your product. So it was an objection, and there was resistance, but it wasn't rejection. I needed to have her reach out and dig in and understand what those objections were, so she could talk me through them. Ultimately, we got to a point where she reminded me, hey, you have some goals. There's a risk-free money-back guarantee. I would really like to see you go through this. You would be a great coach. So inevitably, I signed up. $180. I signed up for T25. I think it was like $210 with tax and shipping or something. I'm like, I didn't have the money. I went on a credit card. So my goal initially was find 3 people to do the program with me, just so I can break even. I didn't even know that Shakeology came on auto shipment. I was just like, just find some people to do the program with me. And again, you have to remember, I wanted this for my physical health, not just to learn about what people were doing. Like, I needed to see a change in myself. I'm not a fit spo girl. I was the yoga girl. I would go to the yoga studio and stretch. Like, I'll just take an extra long shavasana today. I'm not the girl that wants to work out. I do not like cardio. I mean, weights are fun, but then you start to sweat a lot. And it's like, oh, like, that's not me. So, I really had to reach deep into my friends to find out who was going to do this with me, because I needed accountability. And that's really where my journey began is, Amy said, hey, make a list of 10 to 15 people that you want to invite in to do this with you so you can get your investment paid back. So I started there. I emailed 10 to 15 people. I got through that. I heard some crickets. I got some replies. I got some no's. And I started again and wrote another 10 to 15 people. I started doing my program. I showed up and actively did it every single day. And actually, when I pressed play, I acted like there was a camera on me, and I was one of those people in the workout video, so that I would go hard, because I said, girl, you got to get a result. I started blogging about it. I got on my blog and I said, I'm changing my focus from food to fitness, because my blog was mostly food. And so I said, I'll show you in 30 days what my progress is. And so I had this goal. I put it out there. I said I was going to do it, and I had to be good to my own word, because I made it public. So these are all kind of little tips that I'm sure you've heard before, but they're things that really make a difference, and you going after it and staying committed to your goal and seeing a result. So throughout the process, anytime I was out and about and people would say to me, hey, Meredith, what's new? Like, every freaking day when you go anywhere, someone's going to say, hey, girl, what's new? And instead of me going, oh, same old shtick, I would be like, well, actually, I just started this crazy, I've never done a fitness challenge before. I just started this crazy 60-day challenge. I don't even know. I met this girl, and people would ask me, what is it? And I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm doing these 25-minute workouts. Anyway, how are you? I would change the subject. I would talk about them, what's going on in your life, what's going on in your world. If it ended up being a conversation about fitness, it would circle back, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, you should do this with me. I would love to have accountability partners. And if it didn't circle back, I could just pick up my phone later and text them or email them and be like, hey girl, I'm so sorry. Especially if we had a deep conversation about it. I'd be like, I'm so sorry I didn't invite you when I saw you. How rude of me. I could use the accountability partners. Is this something you'd be interested in doing? I would love to get fit with you. So I just always made every interaction that I had that day somehow turn into an invitation or plant a seed. So that's really how my business got up and off the ground. I got my first couple people. I got my, investment paid off. And then I started to get a little bit more. I had a couple extra people. So my first paycheck that I got in hand, I actually turned around and reinvested in my business, because isn't that what entrepreneurs do? I was like, okay, well, if this is going to work, I need to put money into it. So I took my first $100 and I bought another box of Shakeology. I had box or bag or whatever. I bought a box and I started my business actually very MLM-y, because I didn't really know what to do, but I met with people I knew that were like me, and I had a mission to connect with them and let them know why I thought they would be a great, person to do the challenge with me, or primarily to be a better coach or to be a great coach. And I would give them, like, there was these success magazines, they might still have them, the trifold brochure and like the shake thing and a recipe. And I was very kind of rigid, like, hey, I'm doing this thing. So it did work a little bit. It got me people, but I would say they're not people that really, most of them didn't stick around. It was done very, not the way that Beachbody does it, but I was trying to get myself out there. I was making a valiant effort. So that's really how my business started. I don't want to go too much further than that. You can see how I started to hit Success Club right away. As soon as I didn't even know what Success Club was, my coach was like, you hit Success Club. And I'm like, I still don't get what that is. I don't get the numbers thing. I'm not a numbers person. Like, I don't get any of it, but what do I need to do to continue to earn money? She's like, help at least 3 people every single month, help 5 people if you want to see your business grow. And I'm like, okay, those are my goals. So I kept it as simple as possible. And you really got to keep it as simple as possible for your new coaches signing up too, because if they're anything like me, they're never going to get it. Like, even to this day, when I talk to my corporate mentors and they're like, you understand how you earn points to get to elite, right? You understand how to explain this to your coaches. I'm like, like, it's pig Latin to me. All I know is help more people, sign up more coaches, help those coaches, help people. It's basically just help people, rinse and repeat. So I'm just constantly getting people to go into Success Club, telling them to help 3 to 5 people every single month, getting people started right, getting them on their fitness program, getting them serious about their fitness, because fitness is primary to anything. I actually don't even put a lot of my coaches into a coach training for like a month. So if they sign up with the challenge pack, you're going to do your challenge first. You can do some primary, like some little bit of training with me. I have some videos you can watch. I think you guys have something similar on your website. That we'll do our GSR call. We'll talk about your goals. And unless they're really, really hungry, then they can go in and self-pace it on our website. But otherwise, I'm going to tell them, do your program for you and work this month on inviting 3 people. Get 3 people to sign up and do it with you. And you can either bring them into my group and we'll do it together, or you can start your own group. So that's how I get all my coaches started. So really, what I was asked to talk about were 2 things. One was building momentum, and the other is branding yourself. And I'm super excited to talk on both of these topics, because both of them are really, really, they're fundamental to why my business has actually worked and why it's still working. As a matter of fact, one of the things I didn't mention is 3 months into opening my business, if you will, I was just having fun, running challenge groups, getting fit. My back went out, and I had chronic back issues. But it went out different this time. And this was around the release of P90X3. I had invited all these people to do the challenge with me. They're like, you're doing it with us, right? And I'm like, Meanwhile, I knew my back wasn't looking good for that. So I signed all these people up. I wasn't able to be a coach. So if anybody has physical excuses why they can't do it, you've got to be real with that. Like, I literally said in my group, hey, you guys, here's what's going on. I can't do these workouts right now, but I can show up every single day. I can cheer you on. I can follow the meal plan. I can guide you through it. I will do the research. I'll be here for you 120%. And so that back injury actually exasperated, ended up being an L4-5 tear. I ended up having to get surgery. I became immobile for a month before surgery. I lost motor function in my left leg. I was in so much pain. I literally did not want to live. I was hopped up on massive painkillers, but it's also the moment when I figured out my why. Because originally my why was, well, I want to help other people that are like me, AKA yoga teachers struggling financially, to have this sort of supplemental business so they can build a little something on the side. And honestly, I told my coach, I don't even want to get into the team building thing. I don't even want to do that. I'll just get the commissions thing. I don't want to do the team thing. It sounded MLM-y to me, and I didn't like that idea. And then she actually pointed out to me, she was like, well, you realize that your friends are paying full price for Shakeology and you're actually taking a cut of your friends' money. And I was like, oh man, that sucks. So really quick, I was like, oh shoot, I can't take my friends' money because I don't have any money. So they don't have any money. They're all my friends. We all do the same thing. So they should probably be a coach too. So that's actually how I started building my team. I was kind of forced to build my team when I didn't want to. But When I actually hit that moment where my back went out, the only work I had was Beachbody. I literally went from teaching 16 to 18 classes a week at a yoga studio I'd been at for, at that time, probably 6 or 7 years, to being written off the schedule because girl can't move. She can't walk. She can't get to the yoga studio. She can't teach. She can't adjust someone's body. She can't do a yoga posture. So what am I going to do for work? I worked paycheck to paycheck. There's no severance. There's no sick pay. There's nothing like that. They just bring in the new, next, hottest, cutest little thing and they throw her in my place and they pay her half the price and the business makes out. So, for me, I was like, I was stuck. I'm like, I've got a medical bill coming in. It's going to be tens of thousands of dollars hanging over my head. I don't know how I'm going to do this. I don't have any money coming in. I'm barely able to keep this roof over my head, right? And that's when it got really, really real. So I'll tell you what, that time when I was in massive pain and hopped up on painkillers, I worked like there was not a day that I couldn't work ever again. I laid on my back. I bounced my laptop on me. I had it all propped up all weird because I couldn't even move. And I wrote everybody under the moon. I sent messages. And honestly, this sucked because I was upside down. So as soon as they'd reply, I'd say, let's get on the phone. And I don't even know the conversations I had because I was so hopped up on painkillers. But essentially what I did was I'd write people and simply say to them, hey, don't know if you noticed what I've been doing lately, but I've been working with this team of, had to get my mission in mind. My mission was to help other people like me, other yoga instructors. So I've been working with this team of angels and individuals who are helping other people with their health and fitness. Our team is growing. I thought about you immediately because XYZ, because you hold space for other people, because I always look to you for inspiration, because you've done so much for me. Would this be an opportunity you'd be interested in learning more about? And I may have said, hey, I'm earning a couple $100 a month. I don't remember. I might have added something in like that. But would this be an opportunity you're interested in? And all I did was wait for that yes. I don't think anybody said no, because let's be real, who doesn't want an opportunity? So that's how I started really building my team, is getting people on the phone and talking to them and having real conversations about what was going on and what it was that I was doing. So building momentum, obviously it starts there. It starts with, think about Team Beachbody's philosophy. They say, decide, commit, succeed. So it starts with the decision. It starts with the decision and a choice you make, a mindset that you switch it on and that you're like, I'm going to be successful at opening this business. I'm going to make this my jam. It's got to be like, you've got to hit that in your mindset. And with that choice, the way you become successful is you hit Success Club every single month. You do not miss a month. There's no non-negotiable with that goal. So if you're thinking, well, I'm going to hit Success Club 5 this month, you better not aim for 5. You better double that and aim for at least 10, because you shoot high to fall in low. So if you're like, I'm going to get in Success Club every single month to build my business, I'm going to help 3 people a month, you'll slowly grow a business over the next 9 years. I don't know how long it takes. I honestly don't know, but it's going to take a while, because that means you've got 3 people a month that might advance to a coach. And if they advance to a coach, they might get interested. They might be a discounter. They might fall off in a month or 2, right? But what if you double that? What if you say, you know what? I'm going to make it my goal to help 5 people minimally this month. To hell and high water, I'm going to help 5 people this month with their health and fitness. And that means you got to get really dialed in. That means you're talking to everybody. If you normally talk to 3 people a day, you better 10x that. Right? You better talk to 30 people a day, or at least triple it, talk to 9 people a day, right? You need to up your numbers. So I just made that decision. Just like it said, decide, commit, succeed. I made that decision. I'm going to talk to more people. I'm going to make sure I hit minimally Success Club 10 every single month, non-negotiable. I don't care if I have to run to my neighbor's house and beg my neighbor on my knees to buy a challenge pack. I will. I'll make them dinner for the entire month. I'll make them spaghetti and bring it over every single night. But you're buying that challenge pack because I need my points. So you've got to get that serious about getting in Success Club to make sure that it actually happens. So, if you're already kind of like, well, I'm doing the work, I'm doing the vital behaviors, I'm doing all 4 vitals, I'm doing the work, I'm inviting every single day, and I'm not seeing a return, I'm not seeing a result on that, you need to do more. I have people tell me all the time, but I'm doing the work. But are you doing the work? Are you just inviting, and are you fishing? I think we had that national wake-up call recently that was like hunting and farming. Are you just fishing? Are you hunting? Are you, sending messages like, hey, do you want to join this thing? Or actually forming real relationships and being serious about your business and positioning yourself in a space of respect. Like, hey, I've got 3 spots left. I've thought of you. This is why. Would you be interested in taking this spot? Right? Like you've got to get very serious and intentionful about what you're doing. So also I would say decide to commit to a success partner if you don't have one yet. And I recognize a lot of people are going to say, I don't know how to find a success partner. I haven't jived with anybody on my team. People don't really show up. Guess what? I was there in the beginning too. I didn't have anybody. I had to go out and fish for them. I'd go meet people at Super Saturdays and be like, hey, do you want to get on the phone? I'd meet people at events. I'd find people on Facebook. I mean, Beachbody people on Facebook everywhere. I'd find people that I liked their style and that I felt like, hey, you're my people. And I'd write them and ask them, hey, how long have you been coaching? What are your goals? Do you want to get on some calls together? And I went through a lot of success partners until I found some that I really jived with. You break up with them. You're like, okay, well, that one's not really working for me. They're not really driving me. So you kind of break up and you move on. But that's fine. But you learn from that. And you also learn how to be a better leader from that, because when you have success partners that aren't lifting you up, you have to learn how to break up, move on, and then teach your team to do the same thing when they're not getting what they need. So everything that you feel is a stopping point, a roadblock, a stumbling block, all of that, those are all tests for your leadership so that you can get over them and move forward. So that's really just deciding. You have to 10X it. If you haven't read this book yet, The 10X Rule by Grant Cardone, you should run out and get it, and you should read it. It will, if you do the work, it'll change your life. Raina's your upline, isn't she? Is that right? Yeah, so she probably tells you guys to read this. Okay, so the second part of Beachbody's whole philosophy is commit. So you've made this decision to hit Success Club 5 or 10 or 20 or 30 every single month. Now, how are you going to commit to it? So you got to work from a list. Every single month you work from a list. Bottom line, make a list. Anyone that said no, guess what? They go back on the list. You can follow up with them. It's just a quick email. Hey, I know last month wasn't great timing for you. I'm running another program. Wanted to give you first refusal. Talked to you last month. Wanted to make sure that I talked to you first this month before I invited anybody else in. We have X, Y, and Z happening, right? So your list is always going to be growing. All of those no's, they're eventually going to come back, and they're going to be a maybe or a yes. It might be in a year, it might be 2 years, but they're on your list. Make a commitment to the success partner that you pick so that you guys get on regular calls and can learn from one another. Make a commitment of what your challenge is going to be that month and how many challenges are you going to host. Is it going to be a freemium that you start with and that goes into something else? Do you have 2 or 3 things so that you've got two challenge start dates plus a freemium? Like how much do you want to own your business? Yes, you're going to put more time into it, but that's also what's going to give you more opportunity. Because if somebody misses the front one and you're still talking about it and they're like, oh shoot, I missed it. And you're like, hey, well, I got one coming up on Monday. You should jump in that one. Right? Like then they're like, oh, shoot, I thought I was going to get off the hook. It's like, nope, got you. So, you kind of have to have your next thing lined up for everybody to roll into it. So once you decide what those are, figure out the start dates, figure out the enrollment dates, reverse engineer it so you can figure out when you got to start your marketing and make sure you're talking to people. Your social media is foundation for any invitations. So don't expect that if you're posting on social and you're like, hey, join by this date, that people are going to join. That is foundation. So that when you send a private message to someone and you say, hey, don't know if you saw that I'm running this thing coming up, but I thought about you and here's why, they can go over to your social, because if you send them a private message, they're probably going to go stalk you. They're probably going to look at your page. And if your page reinforces everything that you just said, that you're living a healthy life, that you're doing these food things, that you're actually adding value and starting to teach them stuff they'd be interested in, then they're more likely to give you a yes than if they go to your page and it's like, I don't know, pictures of just like flowers and, your shoes and like, you're like, oh yeah, I had some lemon water today. So what? Teach them something. So, you've got to really utilize your social media for foundation. And then your private invitation is just going to, that's just going to reinforce all of your private invitations. What else did I want to tell you there? If you're getting objections, if you're getting people that are like, hey, this isn't, no, rejections, as you might consider them, ask them what their hesitations are. Like you have committed now to get Success Club 10. So if you've got 3 people that are like on the fence and all of a sudden they say no, instead of just being like, oh, okay, bye. That's your opportunity to be like, hey, I know how important your goal of losing 5 pounds was. Tell me a little bit more about your hesitation right now. The 3 words I always use, tell me more. Tell me a little bit more about that. What happened to your original goal? Where did I lose you? How can I support you? I just want to make sure that you're clear on everything, right? Sometimes people ask me how much it costs, and I'll be like, it totally depends. There's kind of a sliding scale. It depends on what you do with the program, like how far you go, what options that you want, right? So you've got to make sure that you're addressing those hesitations because you have committed. You've committed to help that person. You've committed to reach that goal for yourself and help them. So the last one obviously is to succeed. Decide, commit, succeed. Fortune is in the follow-up. So you've got to make sure you're following up. Bottom line. If my coach didn't follow up with me 3 times, I wouldn't be here and I wouldn't be her only elite coach. 2-time running, almost a 3rd-year elite now, right? So that follow-up is probably pretty darn important for her because I would imagine that my team, because I also have an elite coach on my team, 2-time elite coach on my team, and then I have another girl going elite this year. So I imagine we've built a lot of volume in her organization, right? So you have to remember one player in your entire team can change the state of your entire organization, right? So fortune is in the follow-up. Make sure you're following up with everybody. What were some of the other things? These are my notes, you guys. So remember how I said how organized I am? This is why I don't get slides tonight. And this is on something, it's an invoice that I pulled out of my boyfriend's recycle bin. So, so those of you who are like, I'm not so organized, I'm not really good at tracking, guess what? You can still be very, very successful. It's a mindset, it's a choice. The tracking, the organization, that's only gonna help you be more successful so that you don't let stuff slip through the cracks. Okay, so create FOMO and excitement. So this is part of success. When you are running a program, say one person signs up. Guess what? First of all, you follow through. If there's one person, you follow through. If there's nobody, well, you don't have to do it, but you can talk about it. You can do the actions yourself. You can talk about all of these things like, oh, I just finished day 1 of our clean eating challenge. Nobody has to know that nobody's in it. We just completed day 1 of our clean eating challenge. Here's what it looked like. Show them a picture. Give them a recipe, right? Like create FOMO. If you have one person and they lose 5 pounds, shout that person out and be like, it's so exciting to see the success of my challengers. Look at so-and-so. You don't even have to show a picture of them. Like so-and-so lost 5 pounds in 5 days doing this, right? Like shout out, create success, create fear of missing out so that the people that you talk to and send private messages with, because once you're on private message, your stuff is populating. Now they're seeing, oh shoot, I missed that thing. And let's just say it's over a Friday and they have a really wild Friday night and they wake up on Saturday and their gut is hanging out because they're just bloated from all the gluten and they just feel like crap. And they're like, oh, I should have totally done that. And then they're like, oh, you just showed that your people lost 5 pounds, right? Like now you've got them. They're just waiting for you to reach out again and be like, hey, you know, I've decided to open another one of these groups. We had so much success from the first round. Would you be interested in joining this week? Is it better timing, right? So you always have to be willing to create that FOMO and share successes and talk about what it is that you're doing. Celebrating achievements, how was that? And, you know, don't be soft because that doesn't help anyone. So like, I'm clearly not like, oh, you guys, if you hit Success Club 4 last month, that is such a great job. Like, awesome, you are helping people. That is great. It's not going to get you if you're looking to open a business and get real, I'm not going to tell you that's great. What would have been great is if you pushed from the 1st of the month all the way through, what did we have, 31 days, 30 days? All the way through the 31st till 11:59 p.m. and then kept pushing so that you drove momentum into your September. What if you would have not watched Bachelor in Paradise? I watched that crap. What if you have not watched that and you opened up 2 more hours a week so that you could focus on your business? Would there have possibly been a change? Right? So you got to get really real with yourself. I'm not going to, and you can't be soft with your coaches like that. And you can't be soft with your challengers. The first thing I say in my free groups, because usually I've gone through scripts with everybody. And so during the scripting process, I let them know based on what they told me their goal is, hey, this is probably not ultimately, this 5-day challenge probably isn't ultimately what you need. You're not going to lose 10 pounds in 5 days, and you're not going to get the habits you need long-term. What you needed to do is one of my 21 or 60-day challenges. Here's what it would look like. Would you be interested in learning more about it, or do you just want to do the free group? Then when I get into the free group, the first thing I do is I put up a video. And I say to them, hey, you guys, welcome to the group. let me be honest with you. You are not going to lose 10 pounds this week. You are not. And if you do, you're doing everything wrong. You're starving yourself, and it is not healthy. All of you here have sent me a private message telling me what your goals were, and everybody here told me that there was a goal that is unrealistic to do in 10 days. If you are serious about showing up and doing the work, you will invest in yourself and move forward. So it's tough love, right? But the truth of it is, if you're sitting on the other end and oh, I know she's right? You're pushed to commit to something. Whereas if I'm like, you know what, do the 5-day challenge. So yeah, you're probably going to lose like a half a pound. You're probably going to feel a lot better. And then what happens at the end? Then at the end, they feel better and they go out and they buy Tone It Up. They go out and they buy another person's program because they lost a half a pound and they didn't get that pushed from me. I'm a coach. I need to push them. So part of succeeding is making sure that you're actually giving some tough love. Doesn't mean that you have to be a B, hopefully I'm not a B, but you do have to give a little tough love. And there is encouragement, of course. I'm cheerleading the entire time, but make sure you're doing that. Also, keep your marketing moving so it keeps them guessing. So like I said, if you're going to have a couple different things, you want to continue to follow a theme. So as we get into branding a little bit here in these last 20 minutes, you'll kind of figure out what your theme is for your page. But your theme is going to rotate based on which challenges you have coming up. Are you focusing more on, like if you're doing a cleanse, you're probably going to start creating more of an aura of cleansing on your page. You're going to show more plant-based foods, more vegetables, more high colorful sort of things. Whereas if you're going into like a die-hard fitness challenge, like Max 30 or Hammer and Chisel, you're going to be showing more pictures of weights. You're going to be showing more pictures of, your workout clothes and all of that stuff. Like the brand is still yours. The theme is still there, but it's going to rotate a little bit. And that keeps people guessing, because if you're going from like this cleanse thing and they're kind of following you, and then all of a sudden, like, you're like, hey, we just wrapped up a cleanse and now we're going to start heavy lifting. Then it's like, everyone's like, ooh, what's this next thing that she's doing? It's keeping them interested. So that'll kind of shift us into branding yourself. So like I said, I kind of had a brand coming in. Clearly, I actually didn't want to be a Team Beachbody coach originally, because I didn't want to be a Team Beachbody coach. That's not what I was looking for. I was looking for an online fitness and wellness business where I could give ebooks and like create this. I didn't even know what it looked like. Maybe there was a website with some community on it and I could like help people with their fitness and health, but I had to figure out how to help myself with my fitness and health first, right? So yes, I wanted to be a coach. Yes, I wanted everything that Beachbody had, but I didn't want the Beachbody brand. I'm not a trainer, so I needed the fitness, but I didn't want the brand. And so I had to figure out how I could brand myself and make this a plug-and-play system that worked, because what I wanted was for people to buy me. And I worried with having a brand already and people already following me for detox and health and wellness, if I led with a product and led with programs and led with this entity other than me, they would immediately have resistance and not be interested because it wasn't me they were buying. The people want to buy you. They don't want to buy a brand. So that means they want to buy everything that comes with you. Your weight loss results or your toning results or the change that you have shared that you're having in your lifestyle, the celebrations that you've had, whether it's that you're gaining financial freedom or that you're gaining a greater sense of self or that you're gaining confidence or that your cholesterol dropped or whatever it is for you, that is what they want. They want that thing that you have and how you did it. So you need to build the mystique around it. So they need to come to you so that you're the person. You're not just another Beachbody coach. You are the person that has the answer to their need. So if you're not sure what your brand is, I was pretty clear coming in what my brand is. I knew it was health and wellness oriented, but I just started asking my friends, hey, what do you guys, like, what do you think sort of my brand is? And people would be like, well, you're like boho fashion, Ayurveda, cleansing, detox. And I was like, oh, okay. So, I knew I did that stuff, but I didn't know that was my brand because I also love to drink wine and like ride bikes and like, I play with my pug. So I didn't know what my brand really was with this. So if you're not sure what your brand is, start asking people, and even ask yourself, what do people come to you for? Is there a piece of advice that people come to you for? Do they love, are you really good at giving relationship and information, advice? Are you really good at giving parenting advice? Are you really good at, like how Samantha said, she does all those like little stationery, organizational things, right? Are you like totally organized? Are you good at tracking things? Like, what is it that you're good at? And that can be part of your brand and a reason why people are going to follow you, because they want what you have. That's part of your key to success. So you can ask your friends what it is. You can also look at what is it that you pin on Pinterest, because a lot of times what it is you pin on Pinterest, there's a reason why you pin it. It's either it's of your style and part of the, what I call kind of reverse marketing. So if it's pulling you in, then if you show something like it, likely it's going to pull your avatar in a little bit. So, look at what you're pinning and why that sticks out to you. Are you pinning food recipes? Because if you're pinning food recipes, it's probably what people want, right? Your people want what you want. Tony Robbins says that people follow you because they're either like you or they want to be like you. So your avatar, your clients, your demographic, they all want what you want. So what are you pinning? Because that's probably what you should be sharing or what you should be replicating in some way, shape, or form. So asking your coworkers and whatnot for advice, thinking about the things that you might collect or the funny things you do, like maybe you always wear like funny colored socks or something like that. That can all be part of your brand. I know that Samantha has a really great avatar thing because she shared it on our webinar. So I would say that's a great place to start to build your avatar, but then you've got to turn your avatar really into your brand. And so here's the way that I did that. So that's kind of fundamental. But then the things you've got to think about is, one, you've got to utilize what that is that people told you they go to you for or they love you for, or what you think your brand is. And that has to become your theme. And I think Lindsay Matway is a great example of this. I haven't been on her page lately, but I know hers is something like, I wrote down earlier what I thought it was. It's like faith, family, freedom, and fitness. And I remember like a year ago when I was stalking her, I would just scroll her feed and I was like, first post, faith, next post, fitness, next post, family, next post, freedom. And it was just this rotation. So I could guarantee that every time I go to her page, if those 4 things lit me up, if those were like, if I wanted fitness motivation, if I wanted a food recipe or to know what she was eating and why she looked so good, or if I wanted to see how she was living her fabulous life and how she did that through coaching, or if I wanted to, get inspired through a psalm or something she was sharing, I knew that I could go to her page at any point in that day and the past 4 things are going to light me up. And then if I scroll down even more, probably the same. You've got to be able to go in and evaluate your page, because sometimes we get excited to just share stuff because we love to share life. But bottom line, your social media, you're a business now. You've opened the doors to your business. Your social media is now your marketing. It's not just about celebrating your friends and your family and like going out and doing these things. You've got to be really smart about how you filter the stuff in. So if you figure out what your brand is, it's really easy. You can tell yourself, like, I'm always going to put the inspiration up in the morning. I'm always going to do the fitness thing in the afternoon. I'm always going to do a recipe share in the evening. And then somewhere in between, I'm always going to do this thing on coaching and what I love about coaching. So figure out what your theme is and then let it rotate. And then you can add in all your other little bits about marketing and whatnot into that. So along with that, you've got to really watch your languaging. And I think languaging is one of the places where I would say I have excelled in this, meaning that branding myself meant that I couldn't lead with Beachbody. So I never said I'm doing 21 Day Fix. I'm doing 21 Day Fix Extreme. I'm doing T25. I'm doing Hammer and Chisel. I'm doing P90X. Over the course of 3 years, more of it has squeaked out. But I'll tell you in the beginning, no. My blog, if you go back to my original transformation, it straight up says my 25-minute fitness challenge. 60-day fitness challenge. There was no name on it. You had to connect with me and we had to have a conversation. I developed a website on Wix because I wanted to have a landing place. I'm like, oh, professional people have a website. I better do that. I don't know how to open a website because I'm not tech savvy. So I bought one on Wix. It was free. You buy your domain name. I spent probably 10 hours building it. It was whatever. I spent the whole day doing it, sweating, building this thing, getting frustrated. But you know what? I ended up with a website and I renamed all of the programs. So if you go to my promotions page, it'll say T25 is called 25 Minutes to Fit. P90X3 is called my 30-90 challenge. 21 Day Fix Extreme is called Bikini Bootcamp. 21 Day Fix is called 21 Day Reset. The explanation talks about it. You get 3 DVDs, 8 workouts, whatever. It explains exactly what it is. And then the link to purchase says enroll here, you click it and it goes to a contact me page. So what I want people to do is contact me so I can have a discussion with them, figure out what their goals are, go through the scripting process before I say to them, here's the program that I want you to do for our bikini boot camp. We'll be using 21 Day Fix Extreme. Here's a program that we use for 25 minutes to fit. We'll be using Shanti's T25. But I'm not gonna have that conversation until we get like 4 conversations in and I've learned all about their goals and we have a rapport. So that may or may not be of benefit, because I'll tell you what, if I came in without a warm market and I didn't have people asking me about these things, I might have wanted the brand to back me because it is an awesome brand, but that's not what I wanted to do. So I want to make that really clear, because I do think for some people, it's really, really powerful to lead with the brand. And I think for other people, it's really, really powerful to lead with you. I think always it's powerful to lead with you. But I think there's also ways in languaging to utilize the brand, but still be leading with you in your story. So as long as you're breadcrumbing your story in all the time, you can still say 21-day program. And then during the first conversation you're having with someone, you can tell them, yeah, I do 21-day fix. But if you're posting on social media and you post 21-day fix, and I read that, I am one of those people, I'm very resourceful, and I don't like to go to people for things. I'm a doer. I get stuff done and I do it my way. So what would I do if I saw you got killer results and you said I did this from 21-day fix? I'm going to go over to Google and I'm going to Google it. I'm going to Google it and buy it. I'm never going to talk to you. I don't even know you. I'm never going to talk to you. I'm going to buy it and I'm going to do it without a coach probably. So you've got to be careful and protect yourself, because you've got to be the person that they need to go to. Why do they need to go to you? Is it just that they need to figure out what program it is? But what did you do? You didn't just lose 5 pounds. Why were you stuck before? Why were you stuck? What were your hurdles? Why did you do it? What ended up being the result? And why does somebody need to reach out to you? And then when they reach out to you and they say, hey, I saw that you posted something. I saw those great results. I saw you like lost 10 pounds in 30 days, and something about a 21-day challenge. Can you tell me more about that? Immediately, I personally get people off of Facebook, and I'm going to send them a message and just be like, absolutely, what's your email? I'll email you details for our challenge. So I'm trying to create a list. I'm trying to get as many emails as I can. Chalene Johnson always says, create a list. What if your Facebook bonks out, right? What if they block you? Like get their email. So I think languaging is really huge. So I would say things even like, instead of Shakeology, I use superfoods a lot. Sometimes I say, I'll actually call it something. So like maybe I'll make one that's like mocha flavored and I'll call it like my mocha maca shake with adaptogenic herbs. Like I'm just, how are you going to talk about it? So whatever the word is that you want to say, it's almost like reverse engineering your word. What is the word? Like if you didn't have a word for it, how would you explain it? Right? Like when I was trying to speak Spanish, I married an Argentinian one time, and I would try to speak Spanish to his family, and I would be like, I didn't know how to say mano, hand. And so I'd be like, la cosa con 5 dedos, like the thing with 5 fingers. So you gotta go to the thing with 5 fingers so that they have to reach out to you and be like, what is that thing with 5 fingers? Do you get what I'm saying? Like you have to break it down a little bit so that you're not just putting the cart before the horse and having them run off onto Google and start Amazon buying, eBay buying, and all that crap, because then you're going to get pissed. You're going to quit your business, and you really never gave it a good start because you gave up at your first roadblock instead of being a solution maker and looking at, how can I fix this? What is the problem? How can I fix this? How could I have done better? Let's try it again. And I'll tell you, to this day, 3 years in, every single person I talk to is practice. I want to help everybody. But you know what? Sometimes I'm like, let's just see if I ask this way. Let's just see if I throw this out. Let's just see if I try this, right? Like I always have a goal that I'm going to at least hit Success Club 10. So if I lose one, whoops, okay, I'm just moving on. Never wait for somebody. If you lose someone, that's fine. You can follow up with them, but don't wait on them. Even if they're like, I'm going to buy on the 3rd. I promise. I'm going to buy on the 29th. I promise. No, do not count them as a point. They're not a point until they're in the house. They're not a customer until they're in the house. Like you're moving on, you're inviting more people, you're talking to more people. Okay, so what else do I have for branding? Just make sure you're breadcrumbing your story the entire time. That should always be dabbled into everything that you're posting. Make sure you're speaking to your avatar. It was interesting. Last night I did a coach opportunity webinar, and I decided to open it up with a bunch of sort of success stories and transformations. And I realized as I started to talk about it, I'm like, here's so-and-so, she's a yoga teacher. Here's so-and-so, she owns a yoga studio. Here's so-and-so, she used to be a Pilates teacher. Here's so-and-so that does yoga. And I'm like, okay, that's weird, because anyone that's on this call that's not a yoga teacher is probably going to be like, do you have to be a yoga teacher to be on your team? But the fact of the matter is, what that said to me is that I'm speaking to my market. I use the words that I need to use to speak to my yoga market. I talk in hopefulness. I talk in like, woo languaging sometimes. Like every now and again I get hard, but like the fact of the matter is I keep things really positive, like a yoga teacher would speak to their students, because that's how I am. That's how I would speak to somebody. And that's how my audience would receive me well and want to do what I'm doing. So it also is like, it means that I'm connecting to the people that I set out to connect with. My original mission was to help other yoga teachers get, healthy, well, fit, and continue to run businesses. So just make sure you're really speaking to your avatar. You know who they are. You know what language they speak. You know what to pull them in. You know how to reach them. Let me see what else I put on here. I think that was the bulk of it. And always remember, why is it that you coached? Always go back to your start before you even enrolled, who you were when you were just looking for your coach, because that's going to help you build the connective tissue. So a big part of, it's all in the breadcrumbing. Like I'm clear on my brand, but fizzled into my brand and my photos and all those things I do, I'm constantly sharing the fact that when I met my coach, I was laying on the couch during nighttime when the TV was on, and I was scrolling, looking at Fit Babe accounts for motivation. I constantly have to do that because I need to find the girl that looks at my images and understands my brand and has that connective tissue with me and was like, oh my gosh, that's how I got on your page, right? So I've got to constantly be sharing that beginning. So make sure you think about not just when you signed up, but what led up to you signing up. Did your coach talk to you 101 times? Because that's part of your story. My girl that's my coach that's going to be elite this year, part of her story is that she was the worst challenger in the world. She was a challenger of mine for a year. She'd like, where are you? I'd be like, Moira, where are you? Come into the group. And she's like, she's gone. She's gone. And then she'd check in and she's like, I desperately need your help. I'm doing so horrible. I feel horrible in my body. And I'm like, be a coach. I asked her probably 12 times over the year, every single month, be a coach, be a coach. Finally, she bit the bullet a year later. And when she did, she became incredibly consistent. She got very healthy. And she ended up selling her brick and mortar business and becoming a full-time coach. And now she's going to be an elite coach. But the thing was, like her story now, when she shares it, she even says, I was like, I'm not going to be a coach. I don't want this beach body thing. I was a horrible challenger. I was the worst challenger. I never showed up for anything. I'd cry to my coach when I needed support. But then she's reaching all the people that are like her that were like, oh God, I'm so bad with commitment. I would totally do that. I wouldn't show up. I'd commit and I wouldn't show up. And like, I never thought that coaching thing was for me either, right? She's building connective tissue. So that's really, really important to do with your brand as well. So hopefully these tips, I know we're creeping up on the late hour. No, what time is it there? It's like super late for you guys, like 10 or something. I'm so sorry. It's bedtime. So sorry. So hopefully though those tips are of value and they help you out and it does help you build some momentum. I'm so open to taking questions. For those of you that do want to stay on the line even after 5 minutes, I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah, those were awesome, very awesome tips. I really like that you mentioned not using the program names, because I used to do that all the time. And I would talk to a lot of people, and then eventually they would come to me and like, oh, I ordered 21 Day Fix. Can I join your group? And I'm like, oh. But now I try not to do that. And I notice people actually reach out to me and ask me, hey, what is that you're drinking? Or hey, what is that you're doing? So it's definitely a really awesome tip, guys. Does anyone have any comments or questions at all for Meredith?
I just want to say thank you for sharing your story and the struggle that you had with your back. Do you still have those issues now?
Well, I go through periods where I do get back pain. So I ended up having, I had a tear at my L4-5 disc that hung a centimeter down my spine. So I had to get a laminectomy, and I do have a bulge at L5-S1. So there's a chronic condition there. So it does flare up. So I don't do a lot of the Beachbody programs to the extent that like I'm actually doing max 30 right now, but like I'll follow the modifier. I can't do it. I can't jump around. It's actually taken 2 years just to get my body to a place where like I can do a couple tough jumps, but that's not where I'm at. And I have other like, my back is mostly it's my back. But if I do certain things like Brazilian butt lift or plyo, I really can't do plyo. You would think that'd be the best thing for me, but it tightens my butt muscles. When my butt muscles get really tight, my back goes out. So I have to be really careful about what exercises I do because I'll inevitably put myself out for a really long time on my back and be in great pain. So the times that I have been in great pain, I've just been honest with it. I'm so honest with my story. I ran groups the whole time that I was like, I literally was paralyzed. I couldn't walk. I ran groups and I told people like, hey, I'm going to walk you through the nutrition and I'm going to do that with you. I can't do the physical part. It make a difference. I already had a results photo. I already had a story that I was telling and sharing with people. And I already had like enough people interested that I was still able to bring new people in.
How do you stay positive through the pain and through those setbacks? Because when I go through it, I had scoliosis reconstruction surgery. It'll be 4 or 5 years this October. And I get stuck in these huge depressions where I give up, to say the least.
Chronic pain is like the worst thing ever. Nobody ever gets it until you go through it. Nobody can understand it. So, I can't tell anybody like what will work for them. The only thing that has worked for me is working on my mindset. So, affirmation, positivity, personal development, constantly working on yourself. I'm going to be going to Tony Robbins. I've never gone to Tony Robbins. I'm excited for that, but I'm willing to make those investments in myself because I recognize, especially as an entrepreneur, you have a choice. You have a choice that you're either going to have a pity party because where you're at, or you're going to make a change. And like, even to this day, when I'm about to do the ultimate reset and I'm kind of stoked. I'm like, you know what? I don't have to work out for 21 days, dude. That's sweet. Maybe I'll just keep doing the ultimate reset for the next 365 days. Not actually doing it, but like eating really clean and leading it over and over and over. And maybe that becomes my jam. So think about too, like, your market is you. So your market is actually people that have chronic injuries, back injuries. I can't tell you how many people my whole market, the reason why a lot of them are yoga people is because they're in yoga because they have injuries. They're either my age, I'm 40, so they're a little bit older, and so their bodies have hurt over the years, their joints hurt, they have conditions in their spine, they have conditions in their knees or what have you. So a lot of them want to do what I'm doing because they see me as how I've positioned myself in my brand, this strong, independent woman that keeps herself healthy and fit despite the fact that she has physical injuries and cannot do everything. So you need to make sure that that's a huge part of your brand so that you can call in other people that are like you. And then you put them on programs like Ultimate Reset, 3-Day Refresh, PIO, Brazilian Butt Lift, the lower impact programs.
That's awesome. I literally just started to find my brand just because I've literally just started to find myself at 27 and being happy and comfortable with it. So now I am putting myself out there as far as the struggle with the back and the depression that comes with it and all of that. And I've had so much outreach from people that I never thought that I would have heard from. So
there's that saying, if you never knew your struggle, you'll never know your strength, right? Like that is essentially it. You have to be willing to share your struggle and you have to be so vulnerable with it. And that's one of the things I think that most of us have, like our struggles we don't want to talk about. Who wants to talk about their struggles?
Right? Yeah.
Right? Especially when it makes you feel like weak or feeble or like it's not supposed to be this, like we have this idea of like, I have a fitness company. This is what I'm supposed to be like. But it's not, there is no one thing you're supposed to be like. You're supposed to be like you, and you're supposed to help the people that are like you. And the people that are like you need you to say, hey, I struggle with this, and I know if I can do this, you can do this too.
Yep. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have a question. I know you say you're a yoga teacher, and we actually have a lot of trainers or coaches that teach classes within our team. So is there, like, how would you incorporate, or advice that, how would you incorporate the two? Because I know a lot of people struggle with how to do that.
Yeah, that's so funny. I just actually had this exact same question the other day from a new coach of mine that is like a Pilates and a bar teacher. And her whole thing was that she's like, I want to talk about this. I've got all these people I know at the studio that could utilize, that would want this, but I don't want to talk about it at work, and I don't want to risk losing my job at the studio because I'm leading with my own independent business. And I would just simply say that people go to you for the same reason that I mentioned before. People come to you for you. So your clients, whether it's you're a yoga teacher, a personal trainer, a spin teacher, or anything, they can go to any spin teacher, any personal trainer, any yoga teacher, but they go to you. And when that happens, you guys build a rapport and you get to know each other and you get to know what some of their goals are. And so I would simply say, one, friend them on Facebook. I used to find out who all of my clients were, their emails, their names. I look them up on Facebook, and I'd write them a little message and just say, thank you so much for coming to my class today. Your practice is improving. It looks great. So I would get a personal message going so they can start watching me on social, because my marketing it's gonna lay foundation for the rest of the conversations we have. When they come in a week from now, they're gonna say to me, oh my gosh, I've been seeing you on social media. I saw that you just advanced to like something in your business. How cool is that? And I can say, oh my gosh, thank you so much. And that way I have this entryway. So maybe in a week, if I have a new thing going on, I can send them a little message and say, hey, you popped up in my head today. I'm going to be running this 5-day clean eating challenge. I would love for you to join us. Would you be interested? Right? So you don't have to talk about it at work. A lot of times people would come up to me at work when I was sitting next to my studio manager, and they would be like, oh my gosh, what is this thing I saw your transformation. You look great. What are you doing? And I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you. I'd play the compliment card. Oh my gosh, thank you. You're so sweet. That is so nice of you. Of course, I would love to tell you more about it. We'll talk after class. I'll give you a shout. And I would just brush it off, and then I would reach out to them, or after class, I'd say, why don't I email you? Right? Like, I would keep it out of the studio. It's not studio talk. For people that have, I once had a personal trainer who was doing the programs, and she wouldn't recommend it to her clients because the gym she worked at had like a compete form. And I was like, so you're going to tell me that you're going to give all your clients a meal plan that doesn't work, and then you're going to go home and use a meal plan that does work. So you somehow or other, you need to take whatever you're giving your client and email them and say, hey, listen, I'm not able to utilize all these things through the studio, but if that plan doesn't end up working for you, I can share with you the plan that works for me. Right? So you gotta be creative. You gotta figure your way in, And I think that with business, when you turn on that mindset and you make that choice that I'm going to make this succeed, you will succeed hell or high water. You will figure it out. You will figure out every way to be creative. You'll be willing to throw everything up at the wall to see what sticks. You will fail your way forward. You will stick your foot in your mouth. You'll fall on your face, but you'll get back up. You'll dust yourself off, and you'll do it again, and it'll happen again. And then you'll get yourself back up, and you'll do it again until you figure it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Thank you. Anybody else have any last minute comments, questions at all? No. Awesome. Thank you guys for hopping on. Thank you so much, Meredith, for taking time and giving us all those amazing tips and just being real with us. I love that. And I hope you guys have a good night.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.